Welcome to Ms. This is DK Sizzle. I'm here with Real BK. Bob Kelly and the Celtics have just defeated the Miami Heat to progress to the NBA Finals. Can I get a what? Bobby, how you feeling, buddy?
Bro, I'm feeling so good. As stressful as that last 2.5 minutes was, which, by the way, I could literally, I already told you, I could feel the pulse in my brain, and that's not even like an understatement of how I was feeling. Like, I had to like hold my baby for a minute because I was like, I need to calm the fuck down of what's happening right now.
I'm with you, man. I mean, this is gonna take a second because there's so many different narratives to break down in that game. That game was like a toxic relationship. I'm in a toxic relationship with the Boston Celtics. I 100% agree with you. It was an absolute fucking nail biter. I was just trying, as I actively participated on the internet, I was just trying to be the one in the foxhole that wasn't losing their fucking shit. Because the entirety of Celtics Twitter, can't blame them, but was losing their shit. I was trying to keep it together, but I tell you, I was like a duck. I was calm on the surface and underneath, just those legs kicking away, big fella, just kicking away. That didn't feel good. That did not feel good. What do you think happened? There's two narratives that you can spin here. Either the Celtics almost melted down, but that means they almost melted down like 6 times and didn't, just for the record. Or the Heat are a good team. They're a good basketball team. There was a reason they were in a Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And they were at home. And they have a very talented player in Jimmy Butler. And they fucking tried their asses off. Which one is true? Can you tell by how I asked the question which one I think is true?
Yeah, no, I can tell you which one that you're gonna pitch to me, but I can tell you that they fucking melted down, bro.
But did they though? Because they won.
Did. So I can tell you. So I don't want to start this off negative because we're going to the fucking shit.
No, we're going to the shit. There's nothing negative about it. I want to just
so a couple different things is Marcus Smart has no fucking business taking the last fucking 5 shots of that fucking game. And it's blasphemy that ball was in his hands as much as it was.
I agree with you.
I understand that they were fucking throwing everything at Jayson.
No, they did that thing again.
They did that thing again. Yeah, bro, they threw everything at Jayson Tatum, and I don't know if he was passive or if he just trusted his teammates, but they couldn't, bro. I feel like the Heat knew that everyone else was starstruck and like just had never seen a moment like they were in right there. Like Grant Williams, bro, I don't know what the fuck he was doing that last 2.5 minutes of that game, but that man did not look good in the last 2.5 minutes of that game. But at the same time, I know the Heat are amazing and I know they have the heart of a champion. I just think if you do something like that against the Warriors, we're in a lot of trouble. But again, I'm the Celtics positive guy. So I'm just telling you that there's no reason for me to almost be having a fucking heart attack at the end of that game. Oh my God.
Listen
to calm down.
Listen, no, I totally understand where your head's at. I completely understand where your head's at. And this is the kind of show where the game ended approximately 17 minutes ago. And we're doing a podcast and we're very much post, very emotional, almost come back. And it didn't feel good. It was a pit in my stomach too. I would just like to point out though, that throughout all the chaos, I think if you try to go back and watch this game tomorrow or the next day, I think throughout all that chaos, when the Heat decided to start to double Jayson Tatum and make someone else on the Celtics beat us, and Tatum immediately recognized it, accepted it, waited for the double team, and then passed out early as the double team started to happen, I would say about 7 times that resulted in like very good play extensions or outright buckets in that game. And I think, I think we should move on to Jayson Tatum almost immediately, from this overall point, because I think he's actually a very important factor in this game, more so than the internet would have you believe, because he wasn't just rising up and like smashing in bucket after bucket after bucket. He was getting pressed. He was getting double teamed.
They were all over him,
screams. They were absolutely all over him. And he made plays. He made plays. What showed up for him was his versatility. He relied on his ability to do everything on the basketball court, not just shoot. And I think that there's been past iterations of him that take a lot more sidestep, pull-up jump shots instead of trusting his teammates. Like you said that already. Trusting his teammates, I think that was a very mature performance from Jayson Tatum. I think that was a very difficult game for him, and I think that he fought his way through it. I would just like to add, if I had one note for him, I know, God rest his soul, and no disrespect to his memory, but please don't wear purple and gold in a Celtics uniform. That's absolutely unacceptable. I really appreciated his game. I know that he looks up to Kobe, and that's awesome. I'm a big Jayson Tatum supporter. As you know, I've been on the internet for the past 2 weeks fighting with people about how he's better than Paul Pierce. Don't wear purple and gold in a Celtics uniform, please. That's disrespectful. Don't do that. But he had a great game. Moving.
Throwing that in real quick. Yeah. No, listen, the thing with Tatum, I don't think it's on Tatum for people saying, I said he was he might have been passive. I
thought he was very aggressive.
I thought he was
aggressive.
So I don't know what it is, but I think Ime is not running enough plays and not running the offense through Tatum enough. And I think that showed up a little bit in that fourth quarter, where like when they did run it through Tatum, it was an easy bucket or an assist to someone else. When they run it through Marcus or Jaylen, it felt like the offense got stagnant, and all of a sudden they were like all over the fucking place. And
I'd
like, bro,
I'd like to see him touch it earlier in the clock.
Every possession he needs to have it in his hands.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But again, listen, we're going to the fucking ship. So like all this stresses and like all this shit back here, right? So like we have the Warriors ahead of us and all this bullshit that we just went through back here.
Yeah.
But the only punctuation point that matters is the fact that we're going to the fucking finals, bro. We're going to the NBA finals. So.
Yeah, absolutely. On the back of, if you take it as an entire picture, on the back of
my brain is still processing.
I know.
I don't know if you hear those.
We're doing it in real time. We're processing it in real time. We're going to the NBA finals on the back of great performances, not just from the top three guys across the entirety of the playoffs. So I'd like to do a little honorable mentions section here.
I like it.
We started with Tatum. I think there's a lot to process with Tatum's game. I think there's a lot of nuance in what happened with Jayson Tatum tonight. I think that there's notes you can have about certain things that he did. I think that's true of a lot of guys on the court tonight. But we started at the top. Now let's start at the bottom. We'll do a little sandwich. We're moving through to the middle. Honorable mention, I think, to Derek White. I think I'd like to shout out his intentional calmness every time he touched the ball. I think he's a player that sort of lives in between the margins. He isn't an intangibles guy in the way that Marcus Smart is an intangibles guy, but he's definitely like a read the game, keep calm guy. And I really appreciated that he pumped. So every time he touched the ball, I think he got rattled up when the elbow came down on him. We didn't really see much of him again for the rest of the game. I don't know if it was a concussion, whatever, but that was big for them because they took out a guy that I think that every time he touched the ball and every time he looked up, he had avenues because he was moving a little bit at a slower pace than the rest of the Celtics. I think we were just moving one gear a little too quickly. And a lot of those, Marcus will come on and talk to him. He has that floater that Ray's talked about. I think he was braver in his jump shots tonight when he was outside the 3-point line. Talk to me about Derek White in the scope of the whole playoffs, because you've come full circle on him. Yeah. And I think that's fair enough because I think he's changed his game. Well, not changed his game at the wrong term. He's improved on what his game is during these playoffs. So I think it's fair that you were mad at him in the first place. Talk to me about Derek White.
Yeah, no, I think his role in this series was a lot more of what Derek White is. You know what I mean? Like he had a lot more room to run, to drive to the basket. He like Ray said, man, he called out that floater, and that was an absolute real thing in this series. And we saw that come up multiple times. So I give all the credit to Ray on that one, because listen, I'm telling you, every time that thing comes up, I'm like, all right, Ray, let's go, Ray. Like he's shooting the fucking floater.
Yeah. That's like the signature Ray shot. He was calling it out that he had that floater before he started doing it. It was like he put it into the universe. It was amazing.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was great. But I agree. Derek White was a very calming presence for the Celtics these past 3 games. Even though we lost last game, he was very big in that game as well. He had 14 points in game 5. And I just think from game 5, 6, and 7, you saw something from Derek White that's like, okay, this is why we traded for this guy. You know what I mean? Like, cause I know that trade came under a lot of question. By the way, did you think that Bam elbow looked a little intentional?
I thought it was I personally, I mean, listen, you're on a fucking Celtics homer podcast here, but I thought it was a clear flagrant. I thought it was a clear flagrant based on how they were.
It was like a wrestling move. He was in the air, looked down, saw Derek White there, and stuck his fucking elbow out. And it was like they barely even.
I mean,
I don't know. It was weird.
I mean, the 12-6 elbow is banned in the UFC. So,
bro, I'm just saying, bro. That thing was pretty brutal. He gashed his head open. Gashed his head open.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, from a neutral point of view, it's difficult to read intent, but I think, I think the way they called the Jaylen Brown elbow, which almost won the whole fucking game for the Heat, the offensive foul when he went up, how else are you supposed to go up? You know what I mean? It's like you're above him and he's going up, as opposed to him being below you in a more vulnerable position than you're in. You know, you're coming down and you're driving that elbow. And I thought it was a clear flagrant based on how they've been calling flagrants for the playoffs, not based on my own, personal perspective. But regardless, it doesn't make a difference. I hope Derek's okay. I thought he had a great game. There was a tweet, awesome. a guy who I can't remember his name, but it was a good tweet. So sorry, sir. Apologies. I retweeted it on the Missing the Point Twitter feed, but he said I'm a little bit more here for, paraphrasing, I'm a little bit more here for Derek White dribbling the ball because he's a little calmer compared to Marcus, who's just a little jittery right now, which I think I would have to agree with. And I'm going to move on directly to Marcus now because I think he had a good game defensively at points. Think he had
weird game.
It was a weird game, but I think it's pretty clear. One thing about his game tonight, I think, was pretty clear. He had a strange game. He had a decent game defensively at points. He made a couple of big baskets. Like his field goals were allowed. He made clutch free throws down the stretch. 2 clutch free throws that Jaylen Brown fucked up in game 6. So, you have to just sort of give credit where credit's due. However, I think the thing that most people are going to take from that game is his volume was back at a level that we're not really all super okay with, especially in crunch time. And I think his decision-making in general was a little bit jittery. It was a little bit slapdash at times. There was a couple of moments with the clock. I didn't think he was as good as he could have been. And you only notice that stuff, I think, because of the role that Marcus plays. He's supposed to be kind of quarterbacking us. He's supposed to be sort of keeping time for us and keeping pace and keeping energy and keeping all that up. So what did you make of his game? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Were you frustrated with him at times? I would say not probably as much as we have been in the past because we got it done. But where were you with Marcus?
I just thought so. Marcus has no business being your primary shooter at the end of a game. You know what I mean? Like, he was open for a lot of those shots and he just missed them. Point blank, he missed a few open threes down the end that would have been the absolute dagger. But I think that just kind of proves what I was thinking about him the whole game is he just seemed a little antsy to get through this game 7. Like he just wanted he wanted to close that fucking door on this game 7 curse that we've had against the Heat. And it just seemed like that was kind of in his head because, like you said, man, it seemed like he was moving a couple steps too fast all fucking game.
Yeah.
The offense just seemed to run better when we were running it through Tatum. When Tatum was setting the play up and having that initial ball contact where he was setting up the pick or he was setting up whatever it was, it just seemed to run better. And that's something that we haven't really seen so far this playoffs. You know what I mean? Like I've trusted Marcus, and I said this on the show. We're like, I trusted every decision Marcus was making earlier in the playoffs. I don't know if it's like the ankle injury or what it is, but it just kind of seems like it's fading back towards like the jittery.
I don't know if we can say that overall. It was one game. It was one game.
Bit.
If you take his overall like performance in the round against the Heat, I think it was still true that I trusted him. I think he hit a lot of big threes in a lot of our wins.
I didn't trust him that much tonight, though. It was just, it was a different look to Marcus.
But it's like, but you have to remember, like at the same time, he hit a huge 3 down the stretch that he really had no business hitting because it was a bad play. The play broke down. It was in like the left corner. I don't know if you remember it. He went up because the shot clock ran out and he hit.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I do.
He hit a big 3 from the other.
A lot happened.
I know. It's a lot to process. It's he hit those 2 huge free throws.
The free throws were huge. The huge free throws.
They might have been the most important free throws of the night. I think they were.
I was 10 times more confident with Marcus at the
Exactly.
line than I was with Jaylen.
So you
know what I
do
mean?
still
Even
trust
before he missed those free throws, I
Yeah.
was uncomfortable with Jaylen at the line.
Yes.
With Marcus
of
at the
course.
line, I was like, okay, he should
should.
nail both of these.
Should. He had missed one going into those two. I agree with you. But so you do trust him. You've just been through a lot. You've just been through a lot right now. it's
You said, you're like reprocessing it. Like,
it's all right.
The moment we,
All right, that's why we're doing this.
and my brain went through it all again, man. It's just,
No, I know. I was upset too, at
just
times.
stressful 4 minutes of basketball. Man.
What I will say though, if you want to take the game sort of as a whole painting, one big landscape. We got in the lead and we didn't give up the lead for the entire game.
It's true.
So as like home court Boston homers that are very stressed out, and the whole game is stressful as we go. If you take it in a very black and white terms, they went up and they didn't give up a lead. So it's like melting down, blowing leads, blah, 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 blah. It's like they did come close, but the Celtics did what they needed to do for the entirety of the run, which is a mature thing that, if you're hitting them with the mallet of you guys do this, you guys lose these games, you blow these leads, you have to equally give them the credit and the satisfaction when they don't do it. Just because they look like doing it doesn't mean they did do it. They won the fucking game.
I agree.
Going to the
I agree.
championship. They scored more points on their team.
I'm the one that's usually sitting here fighting this battle. Like, you know what I mean? Mike's still presently mad at me because of how much shit I gave him 2 nights ago. But
all right, you know what? I think that's actually, before we move on to the rest of the sort of the player ratings. I know we still have Al Horford to do. We should talk a little bit about Grant Williams' non-existent game. We should definitely talk about Jaylen Brown. Before we do that, let's just talk. Let's just pull the curtain back here a little bit to see a little behind the scenes of missing the point. And I'd like to give it sort of in theme with what I've sort of been talking about Celtics Twitter and the kind of attitudes that everyone has. Now that we're going to the championship, or ship for short, if you know it as well as we do.
Going to
me and Bobby, me being we and Bobby, not the royal we being me, the only two people in the room, are enjoying it more objectively because we have the satisfaction of being on the hill of the people that believed in the team, right?
Always. Yeah.
So it's a win-win, really. When you ride with them, and there's been some internal, shouldn't name any names, but there's been some internal strife in missing the point because. And there's some people that are very emotional, and I understand they get very upset when the Celtics aren't doing good, and they quit on them in the third. But I get it a little bit because it's like, I'm upset. I'm upset. I get it, right? You're not giving them.
It's an emotional statement. It's like me with the Cowboys. I get it.
You know what I mean? I totally get it. And nobody can be really held responsible for where they're at. But there was a bit of a row. There was a bit of a yelling match because we were all upset about where. And I will reiterate, we were all upset after Game 6. We were all upset after Game 6.
I think it clearly showed. I think it
not just me and you. You and I don't have a monopoly on being upset about the Celtics. We were all upset. Nobody was at their best. But what I will say is, some motherfuckers came in being like, "Well, I was right. We weren't going to win Game 6," and it was like, dude, read the room. We just don't need to fucking hear it right now.
I sent that middle finger meme like 74 times, man. Like
I've never seen tell another person to fuck up more times in a row than Bobby told one of our other contributors that in our Discord. But
I would like to say publicly that I do apologize for that. I love you.
That's great.
All right, I love you to death. On there, on record.
I'm glad it's all
man.
Glad it's all water under the bridge.
We're going to the championship.
But here's the thing. I'm using it to illustrate a larger point. When you are with them through the ups and the downs, you do get what I'm sure is coming through as a very smug sense of self-satisfaction.
Oh, dude, I feel
that
great.
You were correct.
I feel
and the team is doing well. Right?
I feel great.
Because I would rather be right and have the Celtics be awesome than be right and have the Celtics be trash. In fact, I'd rather be right or I'd rather be wrong and have the Celtics be trash. So
Agreed.
Here it is. Here we are. And I'd like to just say to Celtics Twitter where we've been, interacting with everybody. And I understand everybody wants the team to win. And I love all you guys. I truly do from the bottom of my heart. But fuck, man. Lighten up. All right. This is a good team. This is a good fucking basketball team. I know it's hard to believe. I know you don't think you deserve joy, but you do because this Celtics team, it's sparked the joy.
It really does, man.
Okay?
They're so
It's the real
likable.
deal.
It's so
Ime Udoka's the real deal. They're the real deal. We're about to go to the finals against, I mean, people be sleeping on them, but it's the Golden State fucking Warriors. They're the most successful team in the last 20 years. So let's see what happens then too, because we've had to slay some giants on the way. Right. Sorry for that long rant. It's just it's been popping around in my head, and I'm
championship DNA. Finally,
DNA.
finally.
DNA it has to be.
It's correct.
It's correct. But listen, here's the thing. We're all happy that they're going. We're all happy that they're there. And internal strife being what it is, and we're all very emotional people. It's part of the reason why we do this whole thing. I will say, I bet they're glad that we were right as well. I bet they're glad, because us being right means the Celtics are going to the fucking championship. So we're all benefiting from that. So moving back to the analysis, yeah, Grant Williams is a fucking ghost, huh?
Right. A ghost is being positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A ghost is being positive. We've been talking about not belonging, being the thing of the past. Grant Williams did not belong on that fucking court.
Yeah.
In the last 2.5 minutes, to the point
at
where
least he saw it though.
Bro,
at least he saw it at the right time.
And you saw Marcus see it too, because he was fucking screaming at him. Did you see there was one offensive play where Grant Williams was out of position fucking 4 consecutive times, bro? It was I'm still mad at him for it. Like, my blood pressure just went back to where it was during that, because I was sitting here screaming at the fucking TV at Grant Williams. He was fucking killing me, bro.
Yeah. I feel he flattered to deceive a little bit too, because I feel like he started off the game looking like the kind of Game 7 Grant Williams we saw in the last series. So it was like, oh shit. There was a little moment where you're like, oh shit, is Grant going to do that same shit again? He missed a lot of wide open corner jump shots, which is like your whole fucking, value basically.
And then he missed layup after layup after, and
yeah,
I don't know. And it was a rough game from Grant. I have to say, that was the Grant Williams of old. I know that's
he looked like Tice under the basket too.
Bro, I literally said that during the game.
Did
he looks like fucking Daniel Tice out there.
Yeah, dude. He wasn't jumping at the right time. He was like getting a little beat up under there. Maybe he's tired. I mean, it's been a lot of basketball. We've watched that dude play a lot of basketball in the last 6 weeks.
I just think it wasn't the moment for Grant yet. You know what I mean? Grant.
Well, he had a
lot of strides.
He had a big moment in the last series.
But this is different. This is to go to the finals.
Well,
you know what I mean? It's all of it. Right. It's a big,
all of them what the mental barrier was.
It's a big, yeah, it was there. 100%.
A lot of those guys have lost in Eastern Conference Finals a few times now, and the specter of that is going to loom over you a little bit. And I think that's what we saw with them sort of blowing the lead a little, but like they still had to dig deep and find the willpower to not let it happen.
They did it. Yeah.
And I think that's the side we should be sort of looking at. I mean, I know it's been hard to stay on track here, but fuck.
Whatever. We don't need to say. I'm just whatever, bro. So like the I want to give them all the credit in the world, and I do, because they didn't blow that. But like if Jimmy knocks that down, all right. If Jimmy knocks that 3 down, we're sitting here
up for the 3, dude.
Oh my god, I know.
It's time, if you froze time, bro, and you were like, Dave. Like, if the fucking angel from It's a Wonderful Life like appeared in my living room, right? And I look over at my wife is like gleefully like tapping away on her phone because she thinks my existential crisis is hilarious. But she's frozen in time, and like the fucking TV's frozen. I think it's the internet at first. And the fucking angel from It's a Wonderful Life just like shows up, and he's like, okay, I'm going to give you the choice, Dave. You're down, the Heat are down 2. If he hits this 3, they go up 1 for their first lead change of the game. It will be a fucking dagger 3. Or do you have him charge at a backpedaling Al Horford for only 2 and like maybe an and 1? I am begging that angel to use his angel powers to have Jimmy Butler pull up for 3, because Jimmy Butler ain't that dude. He ain't that fucking dude. And I love him. I love him for thinking that he was. I love him for thinking that he was. I love Jimmy Butler for that reason. To be up for earnestly from the bottom of my heart. His irrational confidence gives me life. I love that about him. It was so fucking clear that he should not have pulled up, and he saw his name in lights, and he pulled up, and he missed, and I knew he was going to miss before it even left his fucking
Me
hands
too.
because of who he is. He's just not that guy, and it's just not in his game like that. Not when the game's on the line, dude. You do your Jimmy Butler thing. You do your fucking Jimmy
Changed
Butler
who he
thing.
was from the
You
moment.
fucking go at him. You change direction a couple times. You go up hard so that you clear the space between you and the defender, and you draw the foul, and you finish at the rim, which he had been doing to us all fucking night. If he did that, I would bet my left fucking nut that goes in with a possible
100%.
and one
A possible,
from a
a
fucking
very possible.
almost, I would call it almost likely and one from the way the fucking game was being called, which we're gonna talk about the fucking refs, which I know we don't like to do around here. I'm missing the point. We're gonna fucking talk about them. A very fucking possible, almost likely and one, and like that's the way that the game has been going all night. That's the way the game has been going all fucking night. So what happens? He pulls up for fucking three, and I say the time resumes, and I say, thank my fucking lucky stars he did that because there's no goddamn way that's going in. What do you think? Was that the decision that swung the game?
Yeah, 100%, bro. I absolutely agree that if he drives to the hole, it's a completely different story, man. It is.
That's the last thing I
Different fucking story. It was an amazing moment when he missed that. I gotta say, and then Al pulled down the rebound. Al pulls down that rebound. It is game over. You know what I mean? You knew it was game over.
Okay.
It was over.
And he was backpedaling, dude. He was like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, you could see it in Al's face that he did not want to be that guy at the rim right there. He did not.
You could tell because he left him wide open for the three. So his momentum carried him behind the basket almost.
Yeah.
And like he pulled up for the three, and I just was like, "Oh my god, thank God!" Because
He clanged it too. It wasn't even really close.
I mean, it's also you have to remember that like remember that like
got a special guest filling up the glass.
Here's my wife. She came here to watch the came in here to watch the game with me, and we had a nice time. Now she's pouring me wine. What a life, dude! What a fucking
That's a good life. That's a good
what
life.
a wife. What a wife.
And a good wife. Yeah.
Thank you for the extra wine, Leah. Thanks for keeping the fuel going. But I'm all adrenaline right now. Dude, seriously, he fucking pulls up for that three. I'm like, thank God, because you know what he did? He played to the context of the game. He was like, a three right now would be great. Instead of
it would have been the
playing
dagger,
game-
right? Listen, it would have been a dagger.
No,
it would have been tough to come back from that.
that goes in. I don't think we win.
Yeah,
I think that's straight up true. But you ain't Ray Allen, bro. I love Jimmy Butler, but fuck you for pulling up like that, thinking you're that dude, man.
So I know, like, we're completely off the rails here, but that's so it doesn't matter. So I was watching it like before I came on. I was watching the post game, like where Stephen A was having like an on-court interview with somebody, I don't know, and Cedric Maxwell just walked up behind him and goes, "How about them Celtics, baby? How about them Celtics?" In the middle of an interview, it was the coolest thing. I was sitting here by myself, just dying laughing. It was
That's funny.
All
All right, before we do the refs, because I want to do the fucking refs, I want to talk about how bad of a game they called. I think another couple of honorable mentions on good and bad sides. We'll start with the bad. Rob Williams, trick or treat in this playoff series since he's come back from injury.
Yeah,
I think that we adjusted super well to his injury going into the first couple of rounds, and because we adjusted so well, if we're being honest, not as good a play as at the end of the regular season hasn't affected us as badly as it could have. I enjoy his presence in there, if that makes sense. Even if he's not exactly doing what I need him to do, I think people do still think twice about going up when he's standing there, which I've been begging the Celtics to get a guy like that for the past 5 years. So, Rob Williams, the ceiling, here we are. He was a little anonymous a few times, a little fucking sleepy a few times, and somebody needs to tell him that if he gets an offensive board, he needs to stop thinking about it and just go the fuck back up. Just go the fuck back up, dude. Don't think about it. Don't look around. Don't even really make sure you have it in your hands. Just go right back up. Like, it's an offensive board. It's a free 2 points. Do it quickly. Do it quickly before they can do anything to you. What did you think of Rob's game? Was it vintage? Was it quintessential? Because I didn't love it.
I think it's clear when his knee is bothering him. You know what I mean? When Rob is being Rob, we get the games from Bam that we saw in games 4 and 5, where Bam looks like a fucking puddle in the middle of the basketball court, and he doesn't want to. He wants nothing. Bam wanted nothing to do.
We're going to talk about
Williams.
we're going to talk about that in the Al Horford conversation.
Okay, all right, fair.
Because I think that's where the Bam Adebayo conversation belongs, but continue.
No, but I just think I didn't think he wanted anything to do with Rob at the rim in those a couple games.
Not
However,
underneath the basket, not running underneath the basket for sure.
however, game 6 and 7, I just think it was clear in game 7. That's why he wasn't out there for a lot of crunch time. His knee was bothering him tonight a lot. Game 6, I don't know what was up with him. I agree. He gets so sleepy at times.
I think Bam started to get him though.
You think he did? Yeah, is that what it was?
He started to just go at his weaknesses. I think he's still prone to going up when he shouldn't go up. He was a little bit better about that this game, actually, surprisingly. But I think Bam just started being like, I think I got this dude on footwork. He doesn't stand right. His fucking feet are too close together because he's always trying to go for hops. I think I can pull him a little bit out from the basket. And I think right then, I think that played a little bit into our hands, though, because then it was like, fuck it, put Al on him. Al can pick him up earlier. He's not going to beat Al in the footwork battle. And like the 1 or 2 times that he beat him in the strength battle, he was huffing and puffing leaving that fucking exchange. And Al looked fine. Like, you know, that thing? It's like, yeah, I can overpower you, but it's because I'm putting like 100% of my effort in. So the 1 or 2 times he beat him, he didn't really come back for more in this game. And I think that worked for us. But don't you think that like on footwork, like Rob could just work a little bit harder? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like he's just static in these situations.
He relies on his athleticism a lot.
All the time. Because he knows he can hop right back up.
Right.
He can just pop, like he can land and then he can boom, pop right back up, which is great. But still play, you know, does he sacrifice that if he just gets a little lower, just bends his knees a little bit, you know, boxes out a little bit better, boxes out a little bit more proactively? Because he's just like not there a lot of the times in those situations. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, he misses his box out a lot. He does.
Sure.
He ball watches so much too.
He's not low enough, you know.
But well, I'm gonna stick up for Rob though, because we don't win game 5 without him.
No,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Those blocks and there's the 2 corner threes that the Heat had to get back in the game that Rob just came out of fucking nowhere and swatted him into fucking.
You're probably the best block of the series. That jump shot where he like came from like almost.
He came so far away, bro. It was unbelievable.
But he just got such an arc on it. Was that game? I want to say it was game 5.
It was 5, yeah. Against Tucker in the corner.
Yeah. And he just like. He didn't even really just get his fingertips to it. He like smacked it out of the air.
Wanted that shit, awesome. Bro. Yeah.
Agreed.
So it is. It's a lot. It's kind of like the Celtics this series. There's a lot of highs and lows with Rob in this series. I just would have loved to see him. I don't know if it was the knee, but man, having Rob out there being Rob, I don't think that comeback happens, man, because if you replace Rob Williams out there with what fucking Grant Williams was doing in the last 2.5 minutes, it's a completely different ball game. So like he's got to get healthy over this next 4 or 5 days. This
is going to be a great transition into talking about the longest fucking break that this Celtics team have had since the 4-game sweep of the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like we've been playing a game every 2 days for 4 weeks. You know, I feel the fatigue.
We have.
You know, yeah, it's because we have. And I think that they deserve the fucking rest. They 100% deserve the rest. They don't have that. They have 1 extra game than the Warriors, or 2 extra games than the Warriors. But like because of the schedule, they only have a couple of days lead on us for the rest, right? So it could be worse as far as going to a game 7 as kind of beat up and fatigued as we've been. It could be worse as far as actual injuries. I feel like Smart and Williams got healthier as this series went on, which is obviously a huge positive. On that note, I want to talk about Jaylen Brown first, and then we're going to move on to just kind of dissecting the series as a whole. We'll do a little preview of the Warriors finals. But before I do
we'll have an extensive preview. Before it happens, yeah. Before it happens.
But we'll do a little mini kind of look down the pipe now.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll have a preview show for sure next week. A full breakdown. So tune in for that for sure. But I want to talk before we go. I just got to get this in before we move on to Brown and then the series as a whole. Those fucking referees tonight. I mean, I know the extender, blah, blah, fucking blah. They're just bad. I think that people could see a narrative and an agenda in there where it's like, oh, they want the Heat to win. Oh, da da da. And I get it. I get why people are saying that. And I was feeling that too. I just think they suck at their fucking jobs, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good either way. If you really look at it, it wasn't good either way.
I mean, honestly, if you think that Kyle Lowry was getting fouled the way that he was getting fouled, the way that you were calling it, You believe that the dudes in pornos that are plumbers in real life because those performances aren't even fucking good. Kyle Lowry, fucking big dick plumber showing up, same difference, right? So just stop biting on all the fucking sales, like he's clearly fucking flopping. People give Marcus Smart shit for that. Stop refereeing in context.
Oh, he's so
stop refereeing.
Lowry.
Can you literally feel them go like, I know, but they're down 15. So like, I feel like they make those calls, and it's like, dude, don't do that. Referee the game. Don't referee the context. And honestly, Jayson Tatum needs to start getting the calls that a player of his caliber, his athleticism, his speed, the fact that he's beaten most guys if he's going up to the basket 99 times out of 100. You need to just assume that if you didn't see what happened because it was too fast for you. You need to assume that he got there first because he probably fucking did because he's a top 5 player in the NBA and he's not getting those calls. And it's very fucking frustrating that we had to play the rest of the last 2 games. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, bro. The call in Game 6 against Tatum,
absolutely
was
tragic.
Was the worst.
Joke.
One of the worst basketball calls I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh.
It was such a good take and such a good move by Tatum. And for him to get called for an offensive foul for literally going up with his ball hand. It wasn't even his offhand.
Yeah.
With the ball hand and going up.
Yeah.
It turned the game. And I just don't think that the refs should be having that kind of fucking impact on a basketball game, especially at this stage in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And it's so clear tonight, bro. It was so clear that the Heat were getting the calls. Okay. Yes, there was a lot of bad calls.
At the end of the first quarter, at the end of the first half, the disparity between free throws was like 30-8 or some shit. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, and I was just I know people were gonna say that like, oh, but the Celtics have more free throw. I don't give a shit. The free throw marks don't represent the
tonight,
momentum.
Tonight the Heat had way more by the end of the first half. They started doing makeup calls.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely, they did. 100%. And that's another thing that pisses me off is it's so fucking clear when a makeup call is being made.
Oh, there was a couple real.
Bro, tonight was the most obscene thing I've ever seen in my life.
I know which one you're talking about, but it even went our way and it was fucking obscene.
But I was just like, oh, so that was just a clear makeup call. Like it was I don't know if it was the Bam elbow.
No, it was like, it was some sort of off. Like we should have gone. I forget exactly what happened. I'm processing a lot of data right now, but we had some sort of offensive move that was clearly a foul that they didn't call. And then they call an offensive foul on them on the other end and gives the ball back. And I just think it's fucking bananas because like
it's unbelievable.
It's so inconsistent. Like Marcus Smart slides to take a charge almost identically to Kyle Lowry and they call it differently. Like Kyle Lowry's feet are both moving at the same time and
they were in the air. They were in the fucking air.
Yeah. And they call a fucking charge.
They were in the air.
It's insane. And the craziest thing is, right? Here's the crazy thing. These challenges, right? Like this sort of, I would call it relatively new, right? Still, like in the NBA, this sort of system of like challenging the calls, which ones are getting overturned and which ones aren't. And it's not because when you look at them, you go, oh, because of the rules of the game. You go, oh, the referees can't overturn that. They'll look like idiots. Because the one that we challenged, right? Jaylen Brown's elbow going up, there was no way to overturn it because they called it, right? Like they blew up for it. If they had to overturn it, they would have had to call it a blocking foul, but it was kind of neither, right? Like it should have been a no call. So they can't be like, oh, it's a no call because then it's like, well, who would have gotten the rebound? But like it was Jaylen Brown's 5th foul. So like, that's why we challenged it, right? And the commentators, by the way, were also fucking atrocious tonight. Jackson and fucking Van Gundy. I mean, what else is new? But they can't wrap their head around that. Every single time they go, why do you challenge that? There's fucking 7 minutes left of the... Because it's his 5th foul and he's the 2nd best player on the team, dude. That's why, you fucking idiot. They cannot fucking wrap their heads around that.
There's a reason they're not coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I wouldn't let those guys manage my fucking...
I wouldn't let Mark Jackson anywhere near my fucking
team.
basketball team, man. Unbelievable.
Just goes to show where my priorities are. So, point being, yeah, dude. I mean, they couldn't overturn it. You might as well, because it's his 5th foul, you might as well put the challenge out with the context of how much was left. But I don't even know about these challenges, dude. Like, forget it. Like, just let them fucking call the game because it's like you get one challenge and it's like it's fucking wasted then. And oh my God, can we actually talk about fucking Kyle Lowry calling a timeout and bringing them down to 1? That was such a big moment. What a fucking idiot, dude. What a fucking idiot. Like, he's like, this is the Kyle Lowry game. Is that what he was thinking? You can call one of our last 2 timeouts with like 8 minutes left, dude. What are you thinking? Get up. Or like get to a jump ball or something. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, Kyle Lowry was so weird tonight, and he's such a bit. Listen, my girlfriend doesn't know anything about basketball. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't watch
Yeah.
all night.
Watches it and she's like,
all
that
night
guy's
long.
ass is unbelievable.
Right, bro. All night long, she's like, Kyle, who is that guy? He's such a little bitch. She said that like 15 times tonight. Does he do anything except complain? I'm like, bro, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry is, I don't know if it's his old age at this point and he can't do anything else except for try and get flops and complain about calls. But I've never hated a player more than I hated Kyle Lowry tonight. I've hated a lot of fucking basketball players in a lot of series. But my hate for Kyle Lowry tonight was so real, bro. I hated him.
True.
Well, actually, LeBron's top.
Yeah, I watched like Kobe Bryant.
LeBron, no,
I shots from behind the fucking backboard and kill us in this game 7 in the finals. Like, dude, you got to think about those.
The series, LeBron absolutely destroyed us. I hated him a lot, but I hated him a lot.
I feel like I've hated our own players more than I hated Kyle Lowry tonight, in the past, but he does flop. The tweet of the night I saw tonight was Kyle Lowry flops like everyone thinks Marcus Smart flops. It was like, yeah,
true.
Pretty true. Like pretty on point. Anyway, yeah, the rest are fucking trash. I think we still have to watch out for them in the next series. Hopefully we get enough games for Boston to win, but I'm hoping that they don't extend the series because this is when it really comes out, when it's again an extra finals game. I bet an extra finals game is worth twice as much as an extra Eastern Conference Finals game. I think the agenda is clear, and I just think we've learned a lot. And I think before we go to a preview of the finals to close this out, I'd just like to say, like, regardless now from this point, I've been saying this for a while, I'm super fucking proud of this team. They vanquished Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets in 4. They vanquished Giannis Antetokounmpo, the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks, in 7. Granted, at home. Then they went up against what some of the commentators, who, by the way, were commentating on this game and analyzing this game like the Heat had already won, and they were the best Cinderella story that they had ever seen. The most resilient team in basketball, I heard them called. Jimmy Butler talking to Dwayne Wade on the phone. Today they vanquished the Heat in 7, but they also vanquished an agenda by the refs, and they also vanquished a national news media that was not on their side. They vanquished the ghosts of Eastern Conference Finals past. They vanquished a fan base that was split right down the middle on if they believed in them or not, or if they thought that they were anything. They vanquished the demons of their past. They rode with a brand new coach who experienced his first Game 7 this year, and now it was his first Game 7 in an Eastern Conference Finals, and he had to say to everyone, it's different now. It's different with me here because we don't do that shit anymore. So the hill that they climbed, regardless, I think is a huge hill, and we're looking down the pipe at a Celtics franchise over the next few years that are always there or thereabouts. So fucking get on board. If you haven't been on board up until this point, this is the cutoff.
It's time.
Okay? This is the cutoff. All right, it's done. It's fucking done. We're in the finals. Now I was proud of them no matter what. Now it's that, okay? Because we're in the fucking finals against a team that has, let's fucking face it, championship fucking pedigree, okay? So whatever happens from this point out, die on the fucking shield, for the love of God. All right, moving on to a preview.
Wait, I got to follow up on that a little bit. So yes, completely agree. This team has made it. They are now what we like to call Eastern Conference champions, I believe.
Who got the Larry Bird Award? I didn't even look.
Tatum.
Was it Tatum?
Got it. Yeah, Tatum got it. Yeah, he had to get it.
That's awesome. First ever Larry Bird Award goes to a Celtic. Yes. Fuck yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. It's just crazy how much people, I don't know why the NBA feels like they're against the Celtics. Everything seemed like they were against this team, and time again, they proved that they belong here. Listen, this team dominated on the road this postseason. They won their 2 biggest games that they've ever played on the fucking road, man. That Game 6 in Milwaukee down 3-2
great
on the road is just such big balls. And then you go up in Game 7 against a team that you just blew Game 6, a chance to go to the finals, everything on your fucking back.
The narrative,
And they fucking delivered, bro. And it's just, this team has so many different narratives going where it's like they don't lose 2 games in a row. They don't do this, they don't do this, and they just keep fucking proving it, man. And if they just keep up exactly what they're doing, I honestly feel like we have a very, very good shot to win the fucking NBA finals because, like I said, this team does not lose 2 games in a row. And I will keep fucking saying that like, if they lose a game, I can almost guarantee that they are coming out the next game and winning that fucking game because they just don't do it. They do not lose 2 games in a row. And I think that is such an underplayed storyline of this entire team that, like, they do not come out and make that same mistake twice. You know what I mean? Like, they will come out slow in one game, but the next game they're gonna come out and fucking get out to a 21-2 lead. It's just it's unbelievable how many times people have doubted this team and they just come out and they're just like, "Yep, well, fuck you. Not fucking happening today." It's just
yeah, I
it's
really,
crazy,
I
man.
really do believe that I watched the entire buildup and the entire narrative be
Yeah.
anti-Celtics. I think it was, can and I get why they do it. They're trying to sell a fucking story here. They're trying to sell a narrative. That's how you sell a sports league to people. I mean, the NFL have been doing it better than anyone for a long time. They've been crushing narratives that are actually true and making up ones that aren't for the past 20 years of our life more effectively than any other sport in the world. But I get you're selling a narrative. The Heat shouldn't have been in position to win that series. We're that much better than them. And credit to the Heat. Credit to the Heat for fighting. Credit to Jimmy Butler for looking like fucking LeBron James a couple of times out there. But at the end of the day, like I just am so fucking proud of the fellas in green tonight because I just think that they really dug deep and I think that a lot of things were going against them tonight. I think the momentum was going against them. I think they were away from home. I think as much as the Miami crowd bails on their team, I think they can get pretty loud. And I think they stayed pretty loud for the majority of that game. And I think it was a hard place to go play. I think Jimmy Butler's a dog. I think he's a fucking good player. I tweeted tonight out of the missing point, the point account. I said, everyone out of here is acting like Jimmy Butler having a good game is like Luke Walton dropping 40 on you. It's not. It's Jimmy Butler. He's really good. Like he's legit really good at basketball. Like why? Like give him a little bit more fucking credit, because he did in this playoffs what KD couldn't do, right? Which was take the Celtics to 7 games. So give him a little fucking credit because he's a damn good basketball player. And I personally been saying that for years. And also he fits really well in Miami. And I think that they did a really good job with the culture around him. And I think that Tyler Hero was fucking banged up for the entire series. And like that might have made a difference. But look, end of the day, give the fucking Heat a little bit more credit. And then you'll be a little bit more proud of the Celtics for what they did. I think swallowing this narrative that we should have steamrolled them is half your fucking problem. But anyway, we won. So it doesn't fucking matter. We also, by the way, if you just remember, I know it seems like a fucking, just as a small aside, it seems like an eternity ago. We came into this series off of one of the hardest fought 7-game series wins I've ever watched a team go through, beating the Milwaukee Bucks in 7. That was mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausting for that team. And the Heat got a break before we went in, and they won game 1 against us because we were fucked up. So, end of the day, like, the series had, like you said, the series had a lot of narratives, but I just think you're safe for just kind of riding with this team at this point. All right, moving on to a small matchup preview. We've you and I actually ironically have touched on this already because we were sending the fucking Celtics to the championship after I think the game 2 wins, but it took a little bit longer, but here we are. Look, obviously
We knew it'd be here.
100%. It just didn't go the way, the route that I thought we were gonna go, but that's how I find my way home. So I'd just like to say, I'm glad it's the Warriors and not the Mavericks matchup wise, but like anything can happen. I'm still very scared of Steph and Clay, all the reverence and respect to them. Again, I think we're deeper. I think they do a lot of a pace. The Golden State Warriors, I think they're a very fast team, especially with their 2 best players being guards that can like space the floor really well and can shoot from fucking anywhere. And I think we're fast too, and I don't think they've come up against that. I don't know if anyone's going to play the kind of defense that we played against them. What do you think, man? Like, I mean, it's been really hard to predict every fucking series in this playoffs in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, but we're going to have to try to make an effort here. What do you think? You scared of Steph and Clay? Are they the best team we faced in this playoff run so far? Where are you at?
They're definitely the most accomplished, right? I don't know if they're the best. I don't think they're the deepest. I think Milwaukee was deeper than them. I think Milwaukee was a tougher matchup for us,
Milwaukee might have been
systematically
PJ
wise.
Tucker away from beating us, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. Because listen, Giannis was so dominant down low against us in that series, and I think against both the Heat and against the Warriors, almost our strength is down low in our size and our toughness, and that's what we had to battle against Milwaukee.
Series, right?
Right, that's what I mean. It's crazy that was like our toughest thing was underneath that entire series because it's going to be our strength going into Golden State. That's why I think Rob Williams is so important for this next series, man. He is so important to get healthy because if you ask me, you know, he turned Bam Adebayo into a puddle for 2 games. We're talking about Kevon Looney. Listen, Looney's a great ball player, okay? He's not Bam Adebayo, and he's definitely not fucking Giannis. So, that's where our strength is gonna lie in this series. If you ask me right now, who has the best 2 players in this series or best player in this series, it's still us. I think Tatum right now is a more dominant basketball player than Stephen Curry. Listen, Stephen Curry's amazing. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the history of basketball.
He's got more weapons.
Right, and we got more around us too. So it's just I think top to bottom, we do match up really well with them. I don't want to call a game right now. I think we should save that for our next one. But
let's play one game against them first and see what happens.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if this series wins 7. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be so many different narratives and so many different fucking things happening in this final series. Like I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to even fucking start thinking about the stress I'm going to go through in this series. But
speaking of the Warriors, Draymond Green said he thought that before Game 6, Draymond Green said, "I think the Celtics are going to advance." I think everybody that was watching that's the Celtics Heat series through 5 games probably thought that the Celtics were going to advance, and nobody really thought that he were going to win Game 6 in Boston, but they did. Credit to him. Do you remember when John Wall jumped up on the scorer's desk in the Isaiah versus John Wall series? That playoffs. It was Game 6.
Yeah,
and it's like winners don't celebrate Game 6. It made me feel kind of good that Udonis Haslem and like all those guys were getting in the camera and being like, "Thanks a lot, Draymond. Thanks for the inspiration." I'm like, "Hey, motherfuckers, it's still a Game 7 to play. Stop fucking celebrating like you did something." Because all you did was take it to 7, and then they sort of patted themselves on the back for taking it to 7. And I think there was a little bit of a handshake tonight on that front. But Draymond Green's in there. I think he's an X factor. Is sort of the roundabout.
I almost forget about Draymond.
I still, I don't think he's lost obviously some athleticism, but I think that his game wasn't necessarily based on that. I think he's got a lot of IQ. I think he's got a ton of
yeah, he does.
He's got a ton of respect on the team. I think that Stephen Clay used him to facilitate more than people realize. I think that he playmakes really well from the post. And I think that if I could pick any fucking player on any NBA roster to match up against him in a final series, I would pick out Horford, to be totally honest with you. Because I don't know if you've been watching, but Al's got some fucking twinkle toes.
He does, man. He goes coast to coast so much, bro.
He's a perimeter defender now, and he went down really awkwardly at one point tonight. But I would just like to say, I'll save that for the end. Actually, I just as a logical preview. I think Draymond Green. I think we were able to suffocate him a little bit with Al, like you've been watching, and a little Rob Williams slides as well. I think that I need to tell the entirety of the Celtics fan base that when Steph Curry shoots, it goes in a lot. Okay, a lot. Now, what you do to beat the Golden State Warriors, it hasn't been done often, but it's been done, is especially with a healthy Stephen Clay, what you do is you live with it. You live with it and you don't panic. Okay. And this is a Celtics team that I think is doing a really good job, apart from a little wobble tonight, of not panicking. And I just want the fan base to come with on that. Okay. Because there was a lot of us tonight saying, it's okay. We'll weather the storm. Don't worry. We've beaten off a few runs now. We've weathered this. We've made sure this hasn't happened. It's gonna be worse against the Warriors. Okay, it's gonna be worse. So just need everybody to hold their fucking nutsack and stop fucking freaking out in the foxhole because the Germans are going to hear us. Okay. So stop fucking panicking. All right. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. We have, like Bobby said, more tools to them. And I'm confident in the Celtics. Anyway, full preview next week with probably a different cast of characters that definitely want their chance to get in here and celebrate a great Eastern Conference win, and they absolutely deserve it. We've been riding with them since.
We'll still be here. No, I'll be here.
Well, I mean, can't really.
I'm here.
Fucking Parachuckle fucks coming in here to be like, we're doing it. But I would just like to say in closing, and I'm gonna give a little speech here, and then I'm gonna throw it over to you to finish it out. I would love if you have no, I guess, complaints about this. I would love to dedicate this show and dedicate this whole Eastern Conference Finals championship set to Al Horford. I think this is a guy that nobody counted in as far as being a factor again in the playoffs. I think that a lot of Celtics fans, when he left the Celtics, they were just happy that he didn't do great on the Sixers, and that was enough for us, and we were happy with him. He came back and he's been played such a huge part in this run. And I love the fact that game 6 against the Heat, he set the record for most games played in the playoffs without going to a finals. And that is a badge that Al Horford does not deserve by any stretch of the imagination. He does not deserve to be painted with that brush. And if you caught the video, if you didn't, go watch it after you listen to this amazing podcast. Of him going to a championship. He's just going to a championship. He was very emotional on the floor. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, Bobby, just on in a basketball sense, what Al's brought to this team. I don't think anyone can argue that we wouldn't be here without him right now. I think there's been a lot of contributions, but we would definitely not be here without Al Horford. His 3 dried up a little bit on him tonight. I think, we could have been 30 points up if that 3 ball was falling for him. He got a lot of good open looks. That's okay. It's a game 7 of a finals series. We've seen weirder things happen than that. We saw James Harden's 3 fucking dry up when he had been hitting it for an entire 5 seasons by that point. So don't worry about it. Just from a basketball sense, what do you think he's brought? From a leadership sense, what do you think he's brought? And can you believe when you heard that Al Horford was coming back in that trade, till now, like how big of a player he is in the NBA?
Yeah, so it's you don't even need to give me a final thought, because literally my final thought was going to be about Al Horford and the fact that this is his first NBA Finals. Exactly like you said, man. I can't think of a player that deserves it more, because when you think about it, it's almost shocking that Al Horford hasn't been to an NBA Finals at this point. And you think about teams he's been on. It does make the Hawks and then that shitty Celtics team, not shitty, but shitty personality wise. Compared to this. Yeah. All right, fair. And then the Sixers team and then to the Thunder. It's crazy that such a professional and such a winner and such a dude with such a high basketball IQ hasn't been there yet. And I couldn't be more happy for him. I'm to see that emotional response was so awesome, man. But to talk about what he's done to this team, man, is night and day. From what we were without him. You know what I mean? I feel like he's such a calming presence for Tatum and Brown and for Marcus. Like he's the reason why they don't have to think out there half the time. He's the reason why we have this defensive intensity that we do. It's unbelievable to see at that age for him to have this kind of game for this extended stretch over this playoffs and at the end of the season. It's crazy to me, man. And to think back, like you said, to the beginning where we got him in that trade. No, I had no idea he would end up like this, man. And I feel like a lot of it did have to do with the fact that he did get pretty much an entire year off before this season. I think that was so huge for like his knees, legs, all that shit. I think Bill Simmons said that before, but, it's so unreal that we're at this point and that Al Horford gets his championship appearance with the Celtics in this version of this team too. You know what I mean? Because he was the calming presence before he left. You remember against the Sixers, he hit that game 7 game-winning shot where it seemed like we are going to blow that series too, or blow that game. Yeah. And he gets that game-winning shot and pushes us on to the next series as well. So it just seems like he's always played this role. And you could see it from our run on, is he's been the most pivotal, important piece and the most calming piece to this entire team. So Al Horford, man, we love you. We're so happy you're here. We're so happy that you're getting your finals appearance. And I was going to say, I think he's going to be huge in these NBA finals. This dude has waited his entire career for this, and I think his play is going to show it. And I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's so many great emotional leaders on this team, and I think that Al is such a big part of it. I think a lot of people have been very vocal in that locker room about who he is and his veteran presence and what he does for the team on and off the court. And I think, yeah, he's going to be literally and figuratively huge. I agree with you. And I'm just honestly, from the bottom of my heart, so fucking glad he found his way home because that man is a Celtic through and through.
He is.
He is a Celtic.
City
you know?
fucking loves him too.
Yeah,
We love that dude.
and he loves us back, and his family loves us back, and you know he's honestly right now he's Mr. Celtic to me.
Agreed.
I think I think Jayson Tatum's our best player, but I think that whenever the Celtics as a franchise, whenever they have a special team, they always have a guy like this. And I think you can point to a lot of championship DNA
Hey.
in guys like this. And I honestly just want to say thanks to Al Horford and the whole Horford family for bringing me such joy this season with the Boston Celtics because, you know, in November, nobody would have predicted this. So, yeah, thanks, guys. So to sign off on that note, we're going to the ship. We're the Eastern Conference champions. Jayson Tatum is, as Bobby tells me, the first ever recipient of the Larry Bird Eastern Conference Player of the Season award. Very fitting that it goes to a Celtic. And I just like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all the Celtics and their organization for all this joy. And I just want to say I'm proud of you no matter what happens in the finals. I hope we can bring home banner 18 because I thought I might have had to get a little older before I saw that. But, you know, thanks for getting us this close. And for the real BK Bob Kelly, I am DK Sizzle. Thank you guys so much for listening. And we will be back next week with a big finals preview. And we'll be here to hold your hand, whether it's on the Missing the Point feed or the 6177 feed or on our Twitter at MTP Pod or on our Instagram or wherever you can find us. We'll be here riding this bandwagon that Bobby and I personally built with our own two hands. All right. Thank you guys so much. Tune in next week. Good night.